I want to thank all of you for coming out here tonight. This really is about you. The Women in the Law section has been such an amazing part of Delaware's legal history. And the things that you have done have inured to the benefit not just of women, but of all citizens in Delaware, particularly those who have often found themselves on the outside looking in. And we've come a long way. And this is really about the journey. It's not about me, it's about the journey that we've been on. And if you recall the great night we had in Washington, D.C. last year with Ruth Bader Ginsburg celebrating 75 years of this section's history. But we can't forget the beginning part of the journey. Remember 1923? It's not that long ago, 96 years ago. And before then, women couldn't even be lawyers. We couldn't practice law. And it was an amendment to the Constitution, Section 10 of Article 15, unglamorously titled Miscellaneous, emphasis on the miss, that said, no citizen of Delaware shall be disqualified from public office or trust under the laws of this state by reason of sex. And with that, Evangeline Barsky and Sybil Ward walked through the doors. But it would be half a century later, 1971, before we had our first woman judge, Roxana Cannon-Arsh, for family court judges. And it would be 1984 before Carol Berger would leave the associate ranks of Skadden Arps and join the Court of Chancery bench. In 1988, Susan Del Pesco became the first woman judge on the Superior Court. I was in law school then. It's not that long ago. Yes, it is. In 1994, Vice Chancellor Berger went from the Court of Chancery to become the first justice on the Delaware Supreme Court, where she was for 20 years. And we overlapped for maybe a month. So the progress of women in the law has been slow, but it's been steady. And there are some firsts yet that we have not yet achieved. Despite the efforts of a few of us, and I say this without any bitterness or regret, there's still a first that has not been achieved. We have not had a woman Chief Justice be appointed through the regular selection process. I am so gratified and delighted to be here that you came out to support me in my acting capacity. And I say that without any bitterness or regret, because the message I want to communicate to you tonight is it's about the journey, it's about getting in the arena. And I congratulate my friend and colleague, Justice Seitz, on his nomination, and I congratulate Vice Chancellor Montgomery Reeves on her nomination. And because we're in the midst of this process, out of respect for the process, I'll say no more other than to wish them both my very best as they prepare for the confirmation hearing on Thursday. But one might ask, why do we come out and celebrate an acting Chief Justice position? Because this position is bestowed upon me not by the normal selection process, but merely by rank and operation of law. And so I would answer that, and I would submit, it's not about me, it's about you, it's about the journey that the women in law have been on. And I would say that the past few months have been difficult in a way. We've got staff people working double duty, positions that haven't been filled. But I can tell you from my own personal experience, the times that I've had the most growth in my life have been the times when I put myself to a challenge. And for me, that's when the patience and the wisdom and the strength develops. And at some point you have the satisfaction when you look back and you say, I'm glad I jumped into the ring. I'm glad I gave it a try. As we're on the eve of Veterans Day, I'll use my husband as an example, who is up there. When he was a young man, and I didn't know him then, decades ago, he wanted to find out what he was made of. So he dropped out of college and joined the United States Marine Corps and became part of the 1st Battalion, 9th Marines with an MOS 0331, and was shipped overseas to fight a war and was in nearly continuous combat for 15 months. And at the end of that, he had the satisfaction of knowing what he was made of. And it's not his Purple Heart that I admire, it's his human beating heart that has never lost the capacity to experience peace, joy, and love, the 3 words we had on our wedding cake a few months ago. My point is, it's not about the end point, it's about the journey. And one of my favorite quotes is from Theodore Roosevelt, who really said it the best. And given my audience, I'll change some of the hymns to hers. But he said, "It's not the critic who counts, or the man who points out how the strong man stumbled, or how the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the person who's in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, by sweat, by blood, who has triumphed valiantly, and who has erred and fallen short again and again, but who has strived to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and has devoted herself to a worthy cause. And at her best, she knows the triumph of high achievement, and at her worst, if she fails while daring greatly, so that she will never be counted among the cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." And so I say to you, if at some point in your life you want to go for something, go for it, because it may be that you don't get to exactly where you want to be, but I can guarantee you one thing: you're going to be further along than when you were at the beginning. And who knows, you may have laid another brick in the road for someone else to walk on. You may have put another rung in the ladder for someone to reach up and grab onto and pull themselves just a little bit higher. And so I look at where we are, symbolic, outside on the courthouse steps, outside a locked courthouse. But for us, happily in 2019, it's locked and shut to us, not because we can't get in and argue cases at the bar. It's only locked because it's after hours and it's cold and it's night. And so it's also symbolic that we're here with the fading sunlight, because your group, our group, has never really done anything for credit for the glare of the media spotlight. It's only the light that we have here that has guided you and your quiet perseverance without the glamour, without the public pats on the back that frankly you deserve. But that's the way you have been, and I think it's a credit to you. And so as we look out on a new horizon, on a reconstituted court, one which is strong, hardworking, as it has been, and collegial, I say to you, I'm so honored to be on the court. I'm so honored to serve the state of Delaware on behalf of all citizens of the state. So let this night be remembered as a time when we paused out of our busy routines to reflect on those people in our lives, past and present, who have dared to enter the arena, who have stuck their chins out to join the fray, sometimes against opposition, sometimes against the odds, and who have dared to be a voice for truth, for justice, and the blessings of liberty, not just for some, but for all. Thank you. Oh, I had in my notes when I was thinking about what I was going to say, PJJJ, and for those of you who are hungry, it's not peanut butter and jelly. President Judge Jan Jordan, who is a trailblazer. I want to thank Kelly, I want to thank Kate. And I want to ask President Judge Jan Jordan to come up here and say a couple of words, because you are a trailblazer.
I thought she was talking about peanut butter and jelly. I was getting so excited. It's hard to follow that because Justice Valihura, without a note, did you notice? Without a note, so articulate, so heartfelt, and that's why we're celebrating you and the women in the law section. And I just could not be more proud of our section and more proud of all of you. I look forward to doing great things with you in the future, and I hope more of you will apply for judgeships, because there's a lot of vacancies coming up, and I'm looking at a great sea of talented, qualified applicants. So thank you all very much, and thanks for showing up tonight, and love you all. Thank you.